I would like to see the judge and the bailiff reprimanded simply because there cannot be exceptions to physical contact with an inmate. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that woman is an inmate, and putting aside anything else, you should not be hugging her, right? You should not be playing her hair. You should not be making physical contact with the inmate. So I would want to see some reprimanding going by because of that. If nothing else, taking everything else out of it. But I feel like that is where the line got really, really crossed. With those two individuals is where the line got really, really crossed. Yes, baby. What would you like? That's my little one. See, when I'm down by the kitchen/dining room area, can you go potty? Because you look like you need to potty. You're doing a whole dance. Little kids are like that, you know? They will have to potty, and they will be doing the dance. Like, he's looking at grapes and in the refrigerator and dancing. And I'm like, please go potty. Like, do not dance and look for grapes at the same time. But yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. What I feel is really unfortunate just for me as a Christian is I heard so many people saying, like, this is Christianity for you. You know what I mean? Like, da-da-da-da-da, always wanting to forgive people and stuff like that. And that just made me feel, like, really sad. Because I'm like, forgiveness is not a bad thing. But a lot of stuff did go on in that courtroom that was inappropriate. But it wasn't the forgiving part that was inappropriate. It was all the other stuff that was inappropriate. It was the petting her. It was the hugging her from the judge. It was the sentencing that was inappropriate. That stuff was inappropriate.
I keep thinking about when you said something about soap. If you go to the Webster's Dictionary, they're actually in there as a definition of soap. No other group is in there. If you go to the Webster's Dictionary and read it, it has an example of the so-called African-American culture. Soul is actually in there. So when you said something about that, that came to mind. Because no other group of people is in that definition except us. So that's kind of why we are so forgiving. I mean, it's what it is, but it is to our detriment.
I am disappointed that they are blaming Christianity for the forgiveness, thinking that that's inappropriate. Christianity is a faith that does hold people accountable. Yeah. But it's a very strict, faith actually, and can be very unyielding. But a lot of people have forgotten it. But you have to understand as well, the court system and the religious system are two separate entities.
Yeah, so I think 12 Keys of Freedom said something. He said, you can forgive privately. When you make it public, it makes it about how you want other people to see you. And I agree with that, because going back to what Pat Dillard was saying, there are two scriptures that come to my mind between the two of your comments. One of them has to do with, the several scriptures dealing with punishment. Because in the Bible, especially when we look in the Old Testament, things have a very finite punishment, right? And the punishments are sometimes violent, like so many lashes or something like that. And nobody is getting hugs there. They're punished, and then you leave it alone. Like, after their punishment is over, you let them live life and have an opportunity to do right. That's typically how it's done in the Bible. And the other one would be that, even when you are doing something good, you don't do that in public. It says don't do your alms in public to be seen of men. So that's something that you do privately. So that's why when I thought they were from Africa, that's why I thought maybe it could be a song and dance thing too, like them trying to be so public with their forgiveness and this and that. But like I said, I don't have a problem with the forgiving part. I don't even have a problem if the brother felt the need to hug her, because for all we know, it could have repulsed him to hug her, but to get past that feeling, to be truly forgiving, he felt like something he needed to do. I'm not going to judge the brother. But what I will say is I really strongly feel that the judge was highly inappropriate, and I feel that the bailiff, with all the hair play, food was disgusting.
I want to say something about forgiveness. I mean, I have nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to tell you what God thinks about their actions. I'm going to read Revelation 13 and 10. It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth by the sword must be killed by the sword. Here is the patience of the saints. So the Bible tells what's going to happen to people like that. You can forgive them, but God has a punishment for them. So he that killeth by the sword must be killed by the sword. That is in Revelation, the New Testament. That's Revelation 13 and 10. He who leadeth into captivity must go into captivity. Their ancestors led people into captivity. So if you really look at what's going on, that's on their head. All of their sins is going to be on their head for what they did. It's two parts. It's living by the sword and being punished by the sword. It's going to be punished by what their ancestors did. They led people into captivity. That's all I wanted to read. It's there. You can forgive, but that's not how the Most High God thinks about what they did.
Yeah, I think it's the extra bravado. But I do think it's being used and what I don't like is I feel the situation is being used to further divide the Black community. And we already put up so many divisions throughout the diaspora, right? So we want to divide American Blacks from other types of Blacks. We want to exclude some people from the party or have a problem with them or feel they don't have a voice. We want to divide each other amongst religious divisions. Specifically for Black Americans, we want to really put the pressure on Black Christians. And then also there's a whole sector of people I noticed that took this up because she's a Black woman, the judge, to say this was kind of like mammy behavior and, evidence of Black women doing things that are incorrect and wrong. Yes, but those aren't the ones you can have. Or Black women doing things that are incorrect and wrong. And, I'm trying to understand how one white woman murders a Black man and it turns into us all turning on each other. Like, I'm trying to make that make sense.
It always does.
We're all turning on each other because this white woman killed one of us. That's a problem for me.
It always works like that.
You want some raisins? Hold on, I'm going to get him some raisins.
No, I don't want any raisins.
What do you want? I can bake you some bread, but I don't have any bread baked, if that's what you're asking me.
No, I need. Can I have a piece of bread? No.
You can, but I would have to bake you some bread. Do you want me to bake you some bread?
Yeah.
Okay. See, if anybody wants bread around here, I have to bake it.
Wow, you make it bread.
And so I have not, but I have a really good quick bread recipe. That doesn't necessarily work if you're doing like the process that takes like 3 hours. But I have a quick bread recipe that works really, really well for times such as this. And I have to say, I've been very spoiled in that I normally make quick bread and I don't make traditional like bread that takes 3 or 4 hours to make. I do quick bread more just because sometimes I don't feel like being bothered with that. Also, with such a young child in the house, he will go and poke the yeast. He'll like go poke the bread when it's rising, which is problematic.
Great.
That's funny.
But he wants peanut butter and jelly because I bought peanut butter, which I normally don't buy. I don't think I've bought peanut butter in a year, but I wanted to make peanut butter cookies. And so I have peanut butter in there. So he saw it. And I also bought jelly because I make baking powder biscuits a lot as a treat for them. And they get jelly with it. That's like their version of candy. And he saw the two and he put them together in his mind. It was like, peanut butter and jelly. Do you have some bread? So I'll make some bread. You can do that. Because I'm going on vacation. So I'll probably bake them some bread and some oatmeal cookies as a treat, because they won't see me again for Tuesday morning. Hi, one of them ones. How are you?
Peace, family. Good conversation that you guys have got going.
Oh, nice. I'm glad you think so.
Yeah, I was just listening to your commentary about forgiveness and etc. And you know what, Irene, I've got to take, you know what, I admire you because it's just not in my personal kind of DNA to just forgive like that. But I do, admire the way that you say that, you can forgive and things like that. I'm always striving to learn and be a better person because, we've all got a past and things like that. But the one thing I would say on that is that that kind of bothers me about this situation is, it could be argued that, the white man over the centuries has had this idea to pacify us, no matter what happens, we should just be grateful, indirectly, we shouldn't be violent ever towards them. And I'm not condoning violence or anything like that. If it happens, forgive, the most things that's happened to us as a people, this is just one situation, right? But, we've had white supremacists shoot up a church and we forgive them. We've had Emmett Till, the list goes on. I won't run down the list, but it's just like the reason why I say I admire you is because, I'm kind of like, if you violate me, then I'll violate you. Like I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing or it's right or wrong. That's just kind of how I feel. Like, also, for example, right, conspiracy theories aside, when the Twin Towers came down, what did America do? They went over to the Middle East to kick someone's ass. You know what I mean? Iraq didn't have nothing to do with the Twin Towers, but they went over there. Britain, the little lapdog as well, they went over there with America, and some other European countries went over there with America, and they whooped some ass. And then they said, oh, by the way, yeah, Osama bin Laden around here somewhere. Okay, yeah, let's go into Afghanistan and all of that, So the white man himself knows that, if you violate us, we're going to come after you. And it's a balance as well, because if you're too forgiving and people can see that trait in you, then you're destined to get violated, right? And I'm going to say this one last thing. I don't want to hold the mic too long. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've heard of the legendary story of when the Europeans had first contact with West Africans, when the Portuguese had first contact with West Africans, and the West Africans on the coast were like, oh, these foreigners have turned up in these big ships. Okay, let's send one of our princesses to go and greet them. And the Europeans took that princess back to Portugal, paraded her around town and said, hey, look, there's more of these from where we came from. We can go back over there and get some more slaves and, do the whole transatlantic slave trade thing. And it's just kind of like, whilst we're forgiving other people, other groups, don't have that same energy, and they'll be quick and ready to violate us and exploit that kind of trait. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm not saying that you can't forgive, you shouldn't forgive or anything like that, but yeah, I think it's a balance sometimes.
I mean, I definitely hear what you're saying. I think that forgiveness should not be confused with helplessness, right? The two things are not synonymous necessarily. So I think sometimes when you think about forgiveness, you think like, okay, that means that I have to be a complete doormat. I can't have standards. I can't protect myself. It's not that serious. You know what I mean? You can still have standards. You can still protect yourself. It's not to that degree. I think the forgiveness is what keeps you human, right? It's what stops you from being an animal or a barbarian. And there's a way to maintain that part of yourself and still have the ability to protect and be pragmatic about how you deal with somebody that you know is problematic. Or in our case, deal with a group of people who tend to be problematic. And also recognize that the same sort of feeble-minded sort of, behavior we saw in the bailiff who was like fixing her hair compulsively, that sort of behavior that we see is something that is adopted over time and through a pathology that comes from a history of, you know, brainwashing, breeding, like literal breeding of Black people. And in that same way, the sort of amoral, violent behavior that we saw come from Amber is something that has essentially been bred into them. You know what I mean? So a lot of us are dealing with things that are beyond our personal decisions. A lot of times we grew up with ideologies and we don't even recognize, because nobody sat us down and was like, this person is better than you, or you should feel this way about them, or nobody sits a white kid down most of the time, right, and goes, Black people are just trash and you should hate them. But that message does get through our behaviors and our actions and the things that, you know, we say without directly saying them. We pick up on a lot of things, both in the Black community and the white community. So we just have to find a way to, because here's the thing. Okay, this is what I mean. So somebody breaks into your house, right? Breaks into your house, steals all your things, attacks your family, and all that. You start to use force to stop them, right? So you pull out your gun, maybe you shoot them in the leg, maybe you handcuff them, you do whatever you have to do to get control of this person.
Right.
Once you have control of them, do you continue with the brutality, right? A forgiving person is like, okay, I've contained the situation. This is as far as I need to go, right? So we enact punishment. That's it. A vindictive, violent, barbaric person might go, okay, now we're about to torture you, you know? And that's, I think, when we cross the line into something where we start to lose humanity. And that's a lot of what we saw done to us. I don't know if we become just like them, if we become willing to, you know, be brutal toward children, if we become willing to, after the situation is contained or after we use whatever force we need to be safe, if we continue with the brutality, then we are literally becoming like them, you know? And they wrote a book about this, right? They called that book Animal Farm, right? Did they not? Where it was kind of a conversation about whites and everybody else. And how the everybody else, if given the chance, would literally morph into them. And that's what I don't think we want to see happen with ourselves. I think we need to find that middle ground.
Yeah, for sure. So like in your example there, you know, me personally, I wouldn't feel the need to, you know, sort of, you know, sadistically attack or do anything further than restrain the person, and, you know, because that particular circumstance wouldn't warrant, you know, anything like that. I guess it's always a balance, and I totally understand, and in fact agree with what you're saying in terms of not becoming barbaric. Remember, the term barbaric comes from the, the Europeans, the barbarians. Terms like vandalism comes from the Vandals, the Goths. You know, this is, if you like, their nature. You know, that's where the word comes from. That's the etymological root of the word. And I agree, we shouldn't become like that. I guess my kind of example is more extreme. So like if somebody broke into your house and, you know, did something extreme, like chop off your partner's hand and, you know, did some real sadistic stuff. I don't know, man, like, forget all that forgive stuff, man. It's go time. You know what I mean? I'm on some straight, but, you know, it's about the circumstance of what warrants, you know, a certain type of response. Yeah, I agree with you that you know, we shouldn't like if someone's evil, it shouldn't give you the justification for you to be evil. You know what I'm saying? And I guess if you know, if you're capable of doing something just as evil as you know, what an evil person has done, then what does that say about you? What does that say about your nature, kind of thing?
CJH said, The more we forgive them, the worse they become. It emboldens them and justifies their behavior. I don't think it's our forgiveness that has emboldened them. I think it's spare the rod. When you don't spare punishment, when somebody does something wrong and you punish them, then that corrects the behavior. That doesn't mean you have to be evil to them for all.
Because as somebody mentioned on the panel before, you know, the stroking of the, I mean, it's just a combination, it's a series of blunders. I mean, the stroking of the hair, the hug, the judge, also hugging as well. It's kind of like, is this actually staged? What am I watching here? This staged? What's really going on here? I've never seen this in a courtroom. You understand what I'm saying? Because when, you know, there's been plenty of examples of, you know, you're going to interpret it a certain way. You hear some people saying that this is a...
Like, how does he still have a job? I'm just trying to understand. Why are you touching her? Why are you doing that? That was very, very awkward. And I think when you add to that the judge getting off the stand, walking over, wait, I take it back. What's that black female judge on TV? One of them ones. Could it be staged? I thought about this because I'm going to tell you guys, y'all know I'm not for television. I'm not for media like that. I'm not trying to mess up my mind all googly, trying to just suck in the stuff that they put out. But I don't trust stuff that they push heavily. You know what I'm saying? Right. The Bible says something like, you know, that which is highly esteemed among men, right?
I just saw that as individual. I saw that as an individual act of selling, you know, excuse my French, ass kissing. That's what I saw.
You think they individually all decided to kiss her butt?
No, I'm saying I just saw that as that individual, that black woman, I saw her as that's what she just chose to do by caressing hair. I think that was just an individual's decision that she felt sorry for her the same way the rest of them did. I didn't think much out of it. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't think that it was that serious outside of her just, you don't like that term, so I'm not going to say it, but selling out. That's what I thought it was.
But here's the thing, right? Perhaps this is an impossible question. Whoever that person was that was stroking her hair, has she ever felt the need to stroke any other convicted person's hair as well?
The judge too. Has the judge ever hugged other convicted criminal for murder that was being sentenced? Has she ever hugged anyone, especially anyone of her own race? Has she ever done that? That's the question. And we know the answer. No.
If she has a track record of doing this, then okay, you know, that's kind of explainable. But I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Cass said she agrees with the conditioning. She also thinks that people cannot help what they believe. However, reasoning can be taught. I don't know that reasoning can always be taught. Maybe it depends on how you teach it. Sometimes you teach through punishment. So I think, yes, you can teach. Sometimes you have to teach through reprimanding and punishment. As far as that lady, I saw a pathology. Like, she reminds me of, okay, so my daughters will want their hair flat ironed. I flat iron my hair whenever I take a trip for convenience purposes. They wanted their hair flat ironed, and I wouldn't do it because they went through a period of time where they were very obsessed with straight hair, right? And I did not want them obsessing over straight hair. I wanted them to view curly hair as the better hair, right? And not to dislike straight hair, but to like what's on their head the most, right? So what I saw is that some parents don't do that. Let's say if you straighten your child's hair right away, or like I said, when you encounter a white person and you start playing in their hair because there's something about that you think is better that you like. When I saw her, that's what she reminded me of, a little black kid who has been told their hair is nappy, who had the chance to touch a white person's hair and just went nuts. I mean, I have definitely seen little black kids do this, and it makes me want to die inside. And that is what I saw, but like with a grown adult woman. I saw somebody who was very sick and lost.
The day and age we live in, you have to be conscious of that. That's why I don't think Because I heard that before too. But people were saying, you know, she wanted to have hair like that. But the day and age we live in, social media and information, you know how black people feel about the hair situation. Natural hair, how that actually looks in public, respecting and caring about your own appearance. So I kind of found it hard that, you know, she was kind of had an affection for that type of hair over, I just thought, excuse my French, she was just ass kissing. That's how I saw it. I could be wrong. Maybe she was caressing because psychologically she always wanted straight hair. That could be. I didn't look at it like that, and I'm not saying that's not the reason. I just thought,
yeah, not just the wanting of the straight hair, but the idea, like the idolizing of whiteness. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like
exactly. That's it.
It was, you know, like, this is my idol, this is my pet, right? And I'm going to stroke its hair. You know, I'm going to be close proximity to it. I'm going to show it adoration. Do you know what I mean? And I felt like that's what she was doing. She was adoring her. She was worshiping her in a sense.
Right.
And she was reveling in this moment of, oh, I touched it. Oh, nothing happened. Let me touch it again. Oh, nobody's stopping me. Let me touch it again. She sat there for like 30 seconds and ran her fingers through her hair. And without anybody coming in and being like, hey, don't touch her or anything, then she continued to do it to a point that was uncomfortable before she stopped. So that's what I mean. Like, it was a sign of adoration to me. Adoration of that white woman that was sitting there, which I think that brought the situation down to like such a grotesque level that then, you know, everything else was like compounded on top of that. Because that was the first thing that happened, right? And then the second thing that happened was the brother hugging her. And yes, Zero of Black, I did hear that he didn't want her to go to jail at all. I'm not about that life. Like, you have to get punishment. That's not a very Christian attitude. The Christian attitude, like forgiveness, is part, don't get me, part of Christianity, but punishment is too. The Bible says the Lord chastens who he loves. Nothing is Christian about letting people do bad things and not punishing them.
I'm not gonna lie. I was so angry when I saw that. I said if I had have been on the jury and I saw how they was behaving, I would have just let her go free then. Let her go free. If you're thinking, I don't want her to do jail time, let her go free then. If you want to hug her and give her a Bible, let her go free. If you want to caress her hair, don't give her no time then. I mean, seriously. I was that angry then, because what is the purpose of it when you're showing the world that she is still highly a victim after being a murderer? She's going to be after 2 to 5 years anyway. If I was on the jury and I knew that prior to, which is impossible, but that's how I was feeling, I would have said, you know what, just walk then. What difference does it make?
That's a very good point. Yeah.
What difference do it make if you're going to react like that to the punishment that someone got for killing a black man, your brother, and at the same time, she got a lightened sentence that she's only going to do half of good behavior? Why not just let her walk? If you don't want her to go to jail and you think your brother in heaven is saying you would want the same thing, then just let her walk.
Yeah, because it undermines the justice system, right?
Right.
A convicted murderer who's being, treated with affection and all this kind of thing. What I will say is that a picture tells 1,000 stories. It's interesting, listening to your perception on this, Irene. I didn't initially think, I didn't really conceive of the idea of what you were thinking in terms of her having an internal introspective affection for white people or white hair or anything. But it also, what I would say is, I think at the time, the woman Guyver, she was crying, right? So it could just simply be down to, she, I don't know, felt some burning desire to comfort her while she was crying. I mean, even that in and unto itself is an abomination, and it's unprofessional. And also, why would you have that type of compassion for, once again, a convicted murderer? So, but yeah, a picture tells 1,000 stories, and until we have more details on it, it's always going to be speculation, I guess.
Yeah, okay, so for the men in the room, have you ever been with a woman you've been looking like for you're in to like touch her or have sex with her? And maybe she needs comfort. Like, some guys work like this, right? maybe she needs comfort. So she starts crying or she's having a bad day, and you use it as your opportunity to show some adoration for her, right? To touch and pet her and all that. Even if I bought the she was crying, maybe she wanted to comfort her thing, I would think it would be in that context, right?
Right.
You were looking for a reason, and then when the door was open, you did it, and nobody stopped you, so you kept on doing it because that's where your heart was the whole time. I do want to say this to Prince. Prince said the commandments say to forgive your neighbor, not the heathen nations. But I would argue against that because Matthew 43 and 44, and this is Christ talking, says, ye have heard it hath been said that thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, pray for them which despitefully use and persecute you. And it goes on to say, for if ye love them which love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans the same? And if ye salute only your brethren, what do ye more than others? Do not even the publicans do so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. So I just want to say that, like, there is absolutely nothing wrong, and we are taught to forgive bad people. That has nothing to do with punishment, though. But we are to forgive bad people, not just the people who are like our neighbors, our family, the people we love. We are taught to forgive the people we hate too. The people we have a problem with, we're taught to forgive them too. The people we are beefing with, the people we don't like, the people who hurt us, despitefully use us, we're taught to forgive them too. It takes a lot of character to do something like that. But that has nothing to do with punishment. Like, they still need to be punished. Now, petting them and giving them hugs and pats on the back and stuff, I don't know about all that. I think like that's a whole nother thing. I'm not with that whole.
If you look at Matthew 15 and 24, he's talking about, he told the Canaanite woman he came for the lost sheep of Israel. So a lot of times we take things out of context. When he's talking about neighbor, he's actually talking about his people. If you go to Matthew 15 and 24, where the Canaanite woman asked him to heal her, and he said, I do not give, I am sent only to the lost house of Israel. And then he said, not to meet and take children's bread and cast it to dogs. So a lot of times people they only read a portion of the scripture, and then they apply it to the entire world. But the entire Bible is written for Israel. And that's who he's talking to. He made it very clear. So the same, I saw a comment from somebody 144. He's actually right, the one you put up.
Okay, so this is what I will say. If we look at Matthew chapter 5, 43 through 45, it says, you have heard it hath been said that thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemies. But he said again, but I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, pray for them which despitefully use and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. It literally talks about your neighbor there. Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. You have heard it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. Right. But I say unto you, love your enemies and bless them that curse you. And then so that there's no confusion, he goes on to say that the Lord lets his sun shine down on the wicked and the good. He lets it rain on the just and the unjust. Right? It says that we may be the children of our Father which is in heaven. So this doesn't make them good people or anything.
He doesn't want us to hate.
Forgive them,
He doesn't want us to hate our enemy. He says, vengeance is mine. That's going to be him exacting judgment for the things that
in terms of Bible battles.
Right. So he doesn't want us to hate our enemies because he says vengeance is mine. He said we don't need to have hate in our heart, but we do need to love our brother. So it's going to be him exacting judgment. He said don't waste your time being evil. He said it's like I got you. You don't want to put that burden on yourself. At the same time, you do have to put your neighbor first. Your people will come first. And a lot of times when we get, just like the guy, I can never remember his name that shot all our people up in his church. The guy they gave Burger King to. What is his name? Dylan Roof. So it was incredible that everybody said they forgave him. That's fine. You're not supposed to say that openly. That's something that you talk to yourself and to the Most High God about. You're not supposed to tell the world. That's not our responsibility. It says, envy not thy oppressor and choose none of his ways. So we're not to be running after them and doing what they do. We're supposed to have these conversations with the Most High God ourselves and among our people. We're not supposed to show the world that we're out there to kiss people's feet after they stomp on our necks. So you can forgive, but you don't go out of your way, especially to disrespect your own people for people that are oppressing you. That's not how it works. And you know, they're going to have, if you research what Botham Jean's brother did, every time you click on the case, you see him hugging Amber Geiger. So the media is just, they're running with it. That's what they want to show you. And you have to realize that's how the world works. You can be spiritual. I don't even agree blaming everything on Christianity, black Christianity, even though I'm not one. But I think it's weak leadership. I think it's weakness how we teach our children. And I think that's how that played out. Because somebody should have grabbed that young man and said, look, I understand what you want to do, but we can't do this in front of the world. How you train your kids go out in the wild? Because he did say, no one told me to do this. But if he had been trained by his mom and dad and understood how the world works, he wouldn't have did it.
Well, his father said that that's how he raised them.
Okay, well, all right, well, there it is.
His father got up in church and they doubled down on it, and then he actually got his attention. He said he didn't want to see her in jail. I mean, I agree with you that forgiveness didn't need to take place publicly. He didn't need to make a display of it. And then with the judge, and then the flipping bailiff playing in her hair. Bureau of Black said, that's the problem, Irene. The New Testament was taught to us by them. Judge Tammy the Mammy should be recalled from her bench. Well, I believe she should be recalled from her bench. I'm not going to call her Tammy the Mammy, but I do agree she should be taken off the bench because you should not be hugging up on a prisoner.
I can't argue with that.
Antonio said that was highly inappropriate to stroke that lady's hair. That was like hair porn. Like, that was really problematic. She rubbed it for a long time, too. I thought it was like a little pat-pat. When I saw the footage, she stroked it many times. Like, she kept stroking it. I thought it was on a loop. But it wasn't on a loop. It was her just, again and again, with so much care. I could not.
In
the sunken place, yes. She was in the sunken place. I agree.
She had too many white dolls as a child or something. You think that?
I don't even like dolls in my house. I don't allow dolls in my house. But she definitely played with some white dolls when she was a child. I wish somebody would. I've had people try to give my daughters dolls, and I've had to quietly dispose of those dolls because I don't like dolls, period. Definitely not a doll that doesn't look, like one of us. That's going to be a problem.
Another thing that really pissed me off was, if you look at what Botham Jean's brother did, he turned to the judge and he asked the judge, can I hug her? Why couldn't Amber Geiger's family ask the judge, could she apologize for Botham Jean's death? That never happened. It was the friend. It was the friend who said an apology. We never heard it from Amber Geiger. We never heard it from Amber Geiger's relatives. You didn't hear them apologize. So they could have turned to the judge. I almost called her Tammy the Mammy. They could have turned to the judge and said, they could have turned to the judge and said, hey, can we apologize? We want to apologize to the family. But they didn't. They were arrogant.
The whole situation is infuriating and frustrating because when you look at the many examples of black people on death row, whether they deserve to be on death row or not, I've never seen any signs of compassion when Emmett Till was told to sit on his Bible to boost him up because they couldn't get the electrical connectors onto his head properly. There was no signs of compassion. You understand? It's just frustrating. I don't even think that compassion should have been shown in private. It shouldn't have been shown at all. As a matter of fact, what I'm more frustrated with is that's what was in their heart, really and truly. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, you know, for them to, no one told them to do that. They got up off their own free will and felt the need to do that. You know, the brother felt the need to consult the judge and say, hey, can I hug her? Why? What has compelled you to? What type of, you know, what is this? Is there a secret relationship going on there? Like, how is that even? How does someone kill your kinfolk, your brother, your actual brother, your blood brother, and then you're jumping up talking about, oh, can I hug her? Where does that come from? I'm intrigued. I feel like, you know.
I fought the brother the least. I really do. I fought now I have to say this. I fought the hug the least. This old, you know, other rant he went on about not wanting to see her in jail, there's nothing Christian about. I don't know what he was thinking. Like, just letting her not get punished is not a Christian name. But that's like one thing. But the hug, the wanting to forgive her, I mean, I don't fault it. I don't think it should have been on camera. I don't think it should have been public. I think he could have gone and visited her. He could have done whatever he wanted to do. But I think but I fought the judge and the bailiff the most. Unfortunately, because they all three engaged in these shenanigans in the same place, it all looks really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing looks real bad. There was just too much going on, like way too much happening.
They're trying to explain their way out of it right now, but they can't. You know, the mom is saying people are misinterpreting her son hugging Amber Geiger, but it's too late now. If you have to explain it, it was wrong.
Wait, how are they trying to explain it? I missed that part.
They were explaining on church. I saw a headline that they were trying to explain their son hugging Amber Geiger at their church, that people are misinterpreting it.
I read it. I mean, I watched it. I watched them talking at the church.
I can't stop.
It was more of the same thing. It was more of, you know, he raised him that way.
Right, that's right.
He didn't tell him, but he wasn't surprised that he did it. The mom, you know, like, it was really much of the same thing. But that's where I started to feel like maybe they're not even really Christian. That's why I was like, okay, is this a different, you know what I'm saying? Because then they were doing like the most. And I feel like they started doubling down on it and making a bigger deal of it and being more flamboyant. Like, even if you were talking about that at the church, have the press know to come. You know, how did the press know to come to your church? Because you were going to be talking to the very tiny congregation that's there about your son. Like, that was literally a press conference.
Irene, you sound like an Israelite. You might well just drop Christianity and come on our side. Yeah, come on our side. You sound like one anyway. You think like me. And how can you be a Christian if you think like me?
Maybe that means it's you.
Right, if you believe in punishment.
Maybe that's what happened.
If you believe in punishment, you might as well come over to our side.
Well, I mean, I'm Christian, so I believe in punishment because that's biblical. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the way they're taught, because they don't actually read the Bible, they don't believe it. They think everything is forgiveness, and God doesn't care about anything you do wrong. You just have to call on His name. You don't have to do any works. It says faith without works is dead, and they don't teach that in the church.
Yes, faith without works is dead. I will agree with that. I will say that, yes, people think that God is some kind of a hippie. It could not be further from the truth. But if you say anything other than that, then they will say that you're fear-mongering. But the reality is your parents are both loving and just. If your parents care about you, they also correct. So that's just a dynamic that is there. And I think a lot of people do want to kind of look over that.
Yeah.
But the whole situation was disgusting. I cannot lie. It was. Why not said, can someone define to forgive as concise as you can for me?
What's up with that avatar?
Oh. Can someone define? That's a cute avatar though. But he's being funny though. Can someone define to forgive as concise as you can for me, please? How do you view forgiveness?
I view forgiveness as you not holding hate in your heart over what somebody did. It doesn't have to be displayed towards that person. They don't even have to know that you forgave them. So it means that you're no longer angry, upset, and you no longer have hatred. You no longer have the pain that's no longer bothering you. It's actually a weight lifted off of your psyche and your chest. That whatever they did wrong to you, you no longer hold a grievance. That's how I determine forgiveness. It's not necessarily verbally apologizing to someone or saying you forgive them. So it's you're letting it go, whatever they did that hurt you. That's what forgiveness to me. I don't know, somebody else might agree.
Yeah, that's what it is to me too. I think you can harbor grudges against people, and it can affect your behavior. Right? So I think forgiveness is like I said, not to be separated from punishment, but you punish because punishment is just.
Right.
You forgive because you're not going to harbor anything. You're not going to, the Bible says anger and sin not, right? So you can be angry, but you're not going to be sinful and you're angry. And so I think forgiveness is a part of that process. You let go of the anger and you let go of the unhealthy, unrighteous anger and animosity. You let go of the desire for vengeance that extends past punishment and things like that. But you punish, right? Punishment is love. I just want to say that. People don't believe that. But punishment is a form of showing love to somebody. You care about people, you don't let them run road, right?
For me, forgiveness, I'm going to come at this from another angle. I don't forgive, I don't forget. I mean, I do forgive. I mean, if it's something... If you stepped on my toes or something and it really hurt and I can forgive you, I don't know, but when you're talking about something as extreme as a loss of life, like I'm not forgiving and I'm not forgetting, like that's just me. But also time is another factor, time is the healer of all things, over time, you will naturally, I guess, not have the anger or resentment towards that person, perhaps. Again, it depends on the degree of the offense. I mean, I've never had anyone conduct such an abomination against me. I've never had someone, try to take my life or kill someone that, so I can't really speak to that degree. I've definitely forgiven people and forgiven things in the past. But this is such an extreme circumstance that I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way to necessarily, like come and kill you or something like that. But yeah, man, that emotion is going to be there. But as I said, maybe over time, it would die down and it would dissipate and it would disappear. And maybe at that point, maybe that's what forgiveness is. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, for me, I can't really fault the brother even wanting to forgive the murderer because I forgave the person that tried to kill me. So I feel like I know what it's like to forgive somebody who has done something horrible, like try to take your life. I was in surgery for 7 hours. I still bear the scar, right? And he got a very light sentence too, and he was black. He got almost no sentence because he was in the military. So,
where is his station?
Oceanside. Well, no, San Diego.
He's Marines?
No, he was in the Navy.
Navy?
So, yeah, I mean, to the point, it was hard to get him arrested too. I think part of this is because she was white. Part of it is because they protect each other. I know for me, it was like a movie. I had to call the chief of police off of vacation. Like, why is he still, I don't know how I got his number. Somehow I got his number. I called him. He was literally fishing. And I had to be like, this man is still calling my house. You guys aren't going to arrest him?
domestic violence is big in the military. What year was that?
What year was it? Well, I don't want to go into that because
But I tell you what,
Domestic violence, the military doesn't play with that.
Well, let me say he got a very light sentence. It included not even jail time, where he could go in, like leave jail for work and come back. It was difficult to get him arrested, and he shoved a 1-foot knife into my neck. Like, that's pretty serious. You know what I'm saying? And kidnapped me. So that's like a whole serious sort of situation. So I think some of these protections come with military cops, things like that. They protect their own. And I think another aspect of it is I forgave him. I fully forgive him. I never say anything bad about him or anything like that. And so I cannot fault anybody wanting to forgive somebody who's done something horrible, because I know that's something that can be done and should be done. And nothing comes from not forgiving them. Like, something like that will eat you alive, you know? So that was more for me as a person than anything. So I guess I look at the brother part very differently, because I can relate to forgiving somebody who's done something very, very awful.
Yeah, you know what? And this is why I say I commend you. And I'm not trying to say that, you know, how I feel is right or anything. I'm just, you know, talking the truth, right? My truth. But the reason why I say I commend you with the whole forgiveness thing, and that is because it's freedom, isn't it? Once you've forgiven, then you've got that freedom to relieve your mind space and concentrate on other things. So I hear that. I don't want to get into your personal situation there, but I can understand, and I could possibly see myself in a position where I would forgive someone that potentially tried to kill me. Like if the circumstance was that they were genuinely remorseful, and, you know, maybe they weren't in the right mind space, or, you know, I could see myself forgiving that person, like in that circumstance. But this right here is like, when there is, and I'm not trying to trivialize or justify what happened to you or anything, but when you've got like a actually I mean, there was rumors that they were together or something, I'm not too sure, but, you know, when it's like a foreign external attack upon you, like, I don't know, I feel a different way about that. Like, you know, if someone tried to, if there was no background to the attack, it was just pure evil, it was just, oh, I just wanted to see if this gun works, and you was just there, or just something sadistic like that. I don't know, man, that's what I struggle, that's where I struggle with the forgiveness thing. But at the same time, I just want to make it clear that I'm not trying to, you know, trivialize and say, oh, well, you know, that, you know, the situation that happened to you is different, and it's all cool, and it's all good, or anything like that. I'm just kind of giving the balance between, you know, different circumstances, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Bureau of Black said the Texas court suggests that a dangerous precedent that all Black life is cheap, and I agree with that. I think that's probably one of my biggest problems, is that
Americans
have done more time for less. People have definitely done more time for less.
Yeah. You can say that again.
And he'll be out in like 5 years for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they already have the brothers, the killer of the brother, the man who got killed, his brother, saying he don't believe she should go to jail, so why wouldn't they let her out? I mean, that's pretty, I mean, you know they're going to use that.
You know what's going to be a real slap in the face?
Is
when her lawyers file an appeal.
When what?
That's going to be a real slap in the face. When her lawyers file an appeal, that's going to be a slap in the face. That's like essentially saying, I don't want to, I don't want to be punished at all, you know? Because that's literally what I'm sure she feels.
Yeah, I'm actually expecting that to happen. And I'm kind of surprised if it doesn't happen. I don't know, maybe I'm just, you know, I'm pessimistic about this whole thing, but you know, history informs me that I kind of expect it to happen. And in actual fact, I wouldn't even be surprised if the whole thing got overturned.
They're planning something.
Yeah, I kind of did think the whole thing was staged, though. That definitely occurred to me. That was the rant I started to go on earlier. I lightweight was like, is this staged? Like,
Yeah.
is this on purpose? Because this can't be real life. I honestly thought, like, that was staged. That thought crossed my mind legitimately.
I don't think the murder was staged. The court, I mean, the clown court was staged.
Yeah, that part. Yes. That part I thought was staged.
That was clown court. That wasn't real court.
That was unreal. That was almost something out of a really bad book.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought she was gonna get 20 to 25. For real. Just I admit,
that's what she should have got.
I didn't think she was going to get convicted at all.
Oh, did you guys hear about the Somalian guy who shot the white woman from Australia? I think she was a visitor. Right? He got convicted.
What did he get?
The Somalian guy from I think he's from Minneapolis. He shot. He's a police officer, right? And he shot an Australian tourist. He said he feared for his life. I think she jumped out of nowhere. He shot her. This was in 2017. He just recently got convicted. I don't know how many years. 15 years.
15 years?
Yeah.
That's pretty close to 10. Just saying.
Did the woman die?
Yeah, she died. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, the moment I heard that story, I was like, yeah.
But I bet she don't get out in 7.5.
Yeah, it depends, isn't it? Good behavior and that kind of thing.
I bet he don't get out in parole at half the time. He's probably going to do all that at 15.
Bureau of Black asked, how long did it take me to forgive him? Immediately or years? I forgave him pretty immediately. I can't lie. Like pretty immediately. Like I don't think I didn't have time to process being upset with him because I was stabbed in the neck. I escaped. I was driving down the highway with a hole in my neck that was bleeding. Found some police officers. Next thing you know, I'm in the hospital. Next thing you know, the police are coming in asking me what I did to cause this. Next thing you know, the doctor's coming in and saying, I'm going to try to, make it so you don't see it. And I wake up 7 hours later, and by the time I got home, he was calling my home, trying to talk to me. And so my instinct at first was for my safety, like somebody take him to jail because he's clearly unstable. And then after he was in jail, I pretty much immediately forgave him. Like I wasn't angry with him. I did forgive him pretty immediately. But I have to say, for me, I'm a very forgiving person, like in general. It's really obviously because he tried to kill me. It's very difficult for me to reach a place with a person where I'm not willing to forgive them. That's really my go-to function. You know, that's like my superpower and my Achilles heel.
You divorced.
That's why I keep telling you I commend you for it. I think we're kind of at the opposite ends of the spectrum. You're very forgiving. I'm not so forgiving.
Yeah, but the thing is that I would want somebody to forgive me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't always make the right decisions. Who knows what I may or may not do, but I would want somebody to give me that same leeway. People do awful things. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's not beyond any of us to do awful things too. So I would want to be forgiven too. I wouldn't. I would want that for myself. You know.
You know what, Irene? If I gave you some directions to go somewhere, and I said take a right and you took a left, I'll forgive you. Don't worry. You know what I mean? I'm not, I'm not all the way like that. It's more so for extreme circumstances. I mean, what you just talked about was some action movie type stuff. You're holding your neck with one hand, steering wheel in the other, somehow opening the door. I mean, yo, someone's got to pay. And I mean, I know,
I was angry that he didn't get more time. I thought that was pretty BS. But honestly, I just wanted to move on with my life. Do you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to move on with my life, and I needed to move past that stage. And then, the next thing was just getting comfortable with having like a giant scar on my neck, which most people say they don't notice unless I point it out to them, or unless you're around me, like in person, I will have people ask me what it is. But I mean, I think that, I don't know, I would want that for myself. If I just totally screwed something up, I would want people to forgive me. I mean, honestly, I think we will all want that. And there's a lot of things people probably don't tell about themselves because they know that most people aren't going to overlook that or be forgiving of that. They're going to be judged because of that. And so it would just be nice to not be in a space or to be around people or to be a kind of person where somebody didn't have to feel like there were whole sections of themselves that had to be walled off because it's not going to be forgiven and not going to be accepted. And I think a lot of people have those things about them. I'm not going to tell anybody about this because that's not going to be accepted. That's not going to be forgiven. That's going to change how people view me, how people treat me, and stuff like that. But I'm not that person. So for those people that share a life with me, like in the real world, I'm a safe person. Like, I love and care for you. I will accept you as a whole person, right? Because I want to be accepted as a whole person. I want to be able to make a mistake, be forgiven, be allowed to grow and move past that, and still be loved and still be respected, and not have that always being brought up, or constantly having that be the barometer of the person I am. And I think everybody on some level wants that. Brother Sunken Place would probably go ask her parole board to let her out. Probably, why not? He probably will do that, though. I'm glad you called him Brother Sunken Place, though. But yeah, he probably will go speak for her at the parole board. She's going to be out in 5 years.
Then we find out that them two are together or something. Let me stop.
Oh gosh, if he did that, okay, well then we might level of justice that needs to happen.
He's probably gonna. I know he's gonna visit her.
No,
he's gonna have visitation rights.
Did you read that Bible we gave you? Oh no, he better not.
If he do, he needs to let me point out scriptures for her to read. She'd be really good at that.
At least give her the right scriptures. You gotta.
I got something she can read.
The proper scripture list. Oh my gosh, I hope he doesn't, but I would not be surprised. He seems like the one to do it.
And it's not John 3:16.
It's Acts 2:38.
That's one of them.
Thank you.
It's interesting what you said, though, Irene. Learning. It's like I never really thought about things like that. Like wanting, I would expect to be forgiven as well. I've never really thought about things like that. And I think possibly, and this isn't an indirect or anything, but possibly the reason why I've never really kind of thought about something like that is because I know I'm not evil. Like it's not within me to just do something sadistic and evil to a random person or to anyone. Like if you've done something to me, I'm not just gonna chop off your head. I just don't see myself being in a position where I would do something so heinous that the question of forgiveness to that degree would kind of come up. I mean, yeah, on dating things, overcook some food or something like that, or crash the car, But yeah, no, it's interesting. It's interesting what you said there.
The Somali, why not said the Somali cop's story is different. He was on duty, called to a disturbance. The Australian lady rushed toward his partner and he got her to save his partner from a perceived threat. That is different. That's true.
Yeah.
That's different.
Bob and Dean got killed in his house eating ice cream. So.
Yeah. And she changed her story. First, she used her key to get in the door. Then when it was proven that was impossible, then the door was ajar. You know, there's like a lot. He was, flipping, eating ice cream, which means she had to enter the home. And at some point you had to recognize that was not your home. She murdered him on purpose. I really think. I don't think it was an accident. I think
I mean, she made a statement that she wears black because I let you know that your funeral is coming. I'm ready for your funeral. So you already knew how she was thinking.
That's weird. That's really weird.
Did they have a relationship? Was there a relation between
people? That was a rumor.
But here's the thing. She had an opportunity to fully move out of her home. They did not even search her home for evidence. So we don't know what we could have known because they didn't even look in her home for any evidence.
I think the brother would date her, so I don't know.
The brother is look, I'm going to stand by. I'm okay with him forgiving her, but he lost me when he was like, he didn't think she could have to go to jail. Then I was side-eyeing him, really? You didn't think she had to go to jail?
I mean, that hug,
you wander in the streets free?
That hug was personal.
Oh, he gave her a bear hug.
Yeah, that
he embraced her, yeah.
Embraced again. So I don't know. It looked kind of, I don't know. I don't want to make a joke out of it. But I don't know. Something's not right about that.
Sam McD said he complained about her music. Yeah, she did more to complain. She put in formal complaints. And if I'm correct, okay, so Diller Pat said, why didn't they charge her with manslaughter if it was an accident? Okay, I was over on ABLs, and a lot of people felt it should have been manslaughter. I believe even Anthony thinks that it should be manslaughter. But here's the thing with murder. Murder requires malicious intent, but malicious intent doesn't mean that you premeditated to hurt somebody. Malicious intent simply means that there was no justification for you killing that person. And that's why she was able to be charged with murder, because there was no justification for what she did. So I think I think that's why she didn't get manslaughter. Manslaughter is something a little bit. Manslaughter is almost like you accidentally kill somebody. You know what I mean?
Manslaughter is someone's got their hands around your throat and then you pick up a knife and stab them in the head and they die. Now that's manslaughter.
Self-defense, yeah, stuff like that. It's an accident, it's self-defense, blah blah blah. That is manslaughter.
The 10-year sentence is more along the line of manslaughter.
Well, it's a 5-year sentence. Let's be real.
Right. Exactly.
It's 10 in name, 5 in actual.
I mean, it sounded like manslaughter. It was 5 to 10. So. And then they have a law 5 to 99. To me, that's saying it depends on who you are, what type of person you are, what's your racial background. You can get 5 to 99. So I think we know what that 5 to 10 is for, and the 15 to 99 is for. We know who that's for.
Baby. Okay. I'm gonna bake. Y'all, I have to bake bread and cookies. And you guys know I'm leaving for vacation. Well, it's not vacation. I'm leaving to crash a 21-year-old's birthday. No, you're not 21. You're only 4. Birthday tomorrow. But yeah, I just wanted to do this with you guys. I'm glad that we did it. This was nice and relaxing. That didn't go as bad as I thought it was going to go. But I have to say, y'all get too deep for a till session. We're talking about murder trials. Right. We're having miniature-sized Bible battles. Y'all play too much. You guys don't know how to be chill. We're going to do better next time. We're going to do better. Yeah, I'm going to get out of here.
All right.
Your babies sound beautiful in the background. Your little ones.
Oh, thank you. I was trying to keep them quiet. They cannot ever be quiet.
No, children can't be quiet. And I don't mind. I like hearing children. Some people don't like the sound of children. I like the sound of children that are loud and having fun, because that tells me that's a happy child. I don't trust, like, some children are very quiet and like play alone, but normally a subdued child is suffering through something. Do you know what I mean? So I would rather hear some happy children in the background living their best life, because who is it going to bother? Like, who cares what people on YouTube feel? All that matters is that they're enjoying their life. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter, if other people don't like to hear that. So I liked hearing their little voices. I think my mic on my computer, because I don't have my mic set up, doesn't pick up my little ones' voices, but I can hear them too. But I like hearing that. Also, because when my children are quiet, I think they're doing something. I have to go check on them.
Well, I can see the whole house from where I'm sitting at. So.
Oh, see, I can't, because it's 3 floors, so I have to be listening, because I can't see everything. I need to get some cameras, though, like for the downstairs hallway and stuff. But see, the thing is, I don't want to be too intrusive either, but I can't actually see everything that's going on. And right now they're on the bottom floor and I'm on the 2nd floor. So anyway, I will talk to y'all later. Okay. Oh, Willard Pat says it sounds real, human real. Exactly. Like that is what it should sound like. And I mean, our children are a part of our lives. I don't know why people get so weird about it. But I love babies, so I have a whole bunch of babies, so maybe that's why. I'm
a father, so I don't have a choice.
All right.
I want to say thanks for having me, Irene. It's the first time I actually tuned into your live stream. And everything. Thanks for having me on the panel. It's been a good discussion. Thanks to yourself.
No, not at all. Thank both of you for coming up. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I always hear you on Nyla's show. I never got a chance to actually talk to you face to face.
Oh, I'm glad that we had a chance to talk then. You are always welcome. Okay, bye y'all. Peace the chat. Bye Great Black. I saw you in there. Bye the things you forgot. You're hella late. And Pintos, I hope that he is feeling better. I didn't see you saying that in the chat yesterday, so I'm sorry I missed that. But yeah, with that, good night, y'all.
Peace.